So over 3 nights, consisting of a 2-week period, town meeting members discussed, debated, and decisioned articles concerning 2 special town meeting warrants and the annual town meeting warrant. Special town meeting was completed on May 12th and primarily dealt with financial matters that needed to be addressed before beginning the annual town meeting. Creation of the capital stabilization and pension reserve funds were approved during that town meeting, along with school tech, a new HR integrated hiring system, and a 1-year bridge for 3 school employees until Medicaid and Mass Health reimbursement can be completed. Including in the first special, was also a great debate between the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen around the special ed stabilization fund and how much money to put in there. In the end, in one of the most hotly contested close votes we've ever seen, the Board of Selectmen's amendment for funding was approved by town meeting. We also approved increased borrowing for the previously approved new water tank project, and that was due to an increase in cost, so that will now get underway. We also moved forward on funding several stabilization funds and reserve funds using free cash. Once the special town meeting was completed, we moved on to the annual. Most of day 2 was spent on the annual budget, which was approximately $168 million that town meeting needed to address. There were multiple questions about free cash and how the town was going to deal with, town and schools were going to deal with the structural deficit due to revenues not meeting the needs of the operating budget. Lots of discussion there, lots of input from town meeting, which was great. In the end, we ended up approving the full budget for the town, the schools, and shared costs. In a lighter moment during the annual town meeting member Brian Palmatier came up to thank the electric department for moving to online billing as opposed to mail billing. And he actually presented all the envelopes that he had been saving from the bills that he'd been receiving. I'm happy to report that Carrie McCarthy from the Senior Center actually accepted those envelopes for use by her office. We also started to address, during that second night, the community preservation articles, which ended up moving to the third night to be completed. There, the body ended up approving a new ADA ramp at the Balch School, which will serve Elliott Field and access to the Bernie Cooper Park, in addition to a study on the Guiled Pond and a new roof replacement project at the Washington Heights housing site. In the end, a total of $750,000 in community preservation funding was approved by town meeting. Moving on to the final night of town meeting, which really concentrated on the special number 2 of town meeting, which was really a potpourri of different articles that were addressed by the members. That included adoption of provisions of the HERO Act, which will give additional property tax exemptions to our veterans, and the approval of a payment in lieu of taxes agreement for the company that is putting up the solar panels at the landfill. It also included a moment where former town moderator Dave Hearn got to pick up the gavel again for an article concerning the term of the moderator, increasing that from 1 year to 3 years. After we got through those articles, we moved on to a series of 4 zoning bylaw articles. All of these articles require a 2/3 majority vote, and all were received a lot of debate. Included there was an article that had to do with the change in the federal flood overlay districts and adopting that so our citizens can continue to receive federal access to federal flood insurance, along with a change to the service table for the use service table having to do with commercial kennels, and then a change to reflect what town meeting had previously approved for the Boston Providence Highway District, having to do with multifamily housing in that district. The last zoning article had to do with changing the criterion or the threshold for requiring special permits for non-conforming 1 and 2 family houses. That one, after a rather extensive debate that included the planning board chair not only presenting the article but then speaking against it as a town meeting member, was defeated by town meeting by a vote of 107 against and 48 in favor and 2 abstentions. So to wrap things up, this was a very productive town meeting with a lot of participation by our members, including our 35 new town meeting members who joined us for these sessions. It really reinstilled in all of us the tradition that was started over 250 years ago in this country of democracy for the people and by the people.